welcome to the A Bit of AI show with your hosts, Henk and Amy.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the second A Bit of AI show with myself, Henk, and my colleague Amy Boyd. Hi Amy, how are you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. Thursday morning, straight into it. But yeah, really excited to chat with our speakers.
Exactly. So we both work at Microsoft and we are passionate about AI. And in our AI journey, we have met with many people around the globe. And we realized that there are so many different people involved in creating an AI solution. From pre-sales and consultancy to actually creating the deep neural networks and running them in production like we saw and talked about last week. And in this show, we invite people from all over the world that are professionals in the AI space to have just a casual chat about what they're actually doing during the week. So this is the second episode, and we couldn't be more excited to start talking with our guests and learn about what they do. So in today's show, we have 4 segments. First, we're going to talk to our main guest, Akanksha, about her life in AI. What does she actually do during the day? Then we move to our second guest, where we talk about his AI project. And finally, we will have an overview of some upcoming events, and then we dive into the Learn Challenge of the week. As always, everything is available, all the links to all the people involved, all the projects, the Learn Challenge. Those links are available on our website, abitofai.show. And yeah, before I forget, after our show, you are welcome in our A Bit of AI Cafe. This is a friendly Teams meeting where you can meet us, Amy and me, and our guest, and just have a casual chat about the show today. So
Yeah, we had
let's
a great
start.
time last week, which was fun.
Yeah, last week it was really nice, and it went on for long. So it kind of felt like the thing that happens after you have a meetup in person, like where you just stand around, have a pizza or a Coke or something like that. So we hope that you will join afterwards also. So let's invite our first guest. Akanksha, hi.
Hey, everyone. How's it
Hey,
going?
welcome. Very good. So we are literally on other sides of the planet, but we will handle this slight delay because we're absolute pros. But how has your day been, Akanksha?
It has been great because I actually got to go meet colleagues today and got to work with them again in person, which was a whole new surprise after a whole year of working from home. So it's a fabulous day, and it's made even better because I still get to come home and still talk to other people across the world.
Yeah, great stuff. We love that hybrid life. That's, I believe, what we're going to be living. So let's get started. I have to set a timer here because otherwise I could chat all day. So can you first off tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do in the AI space?
Yeah. So my name is Akanksha Malik, as I've just been introduced very kindly. I'm a data scientist at a tech consulting down here in Melbourne, Australia, called Tesla. And I'm also a Microsoft AI MVP down here as well. So yeah, basically my day-to-day job kind of depends, which is the classic consulting answer. But yeah, whatever our clients need in the data AI space, that's where we help out with.
Yeah, gosh, the well, it depends is legit for consultancy. Yeah, absolutely, I hear you. But in AI, do you find that difficult? Like that feels, because AI is such a big space, right? Like, but you're always changing. Do you quite enjoy that?
No, yeah, exactly, for sure. Because I mean, that's kind of why I always wanted to get into consulting to start with, because I liked that idea of actually being able to get across a lot of things. I mean, I started into college and I was like, yeah, I'll do maths. I don't know. Thought I wanted to do medicine before that. I never knew what I wanted. So it's like, well, what's to say that, yeah, exactly this specific niche thing is what I'd like to do with my career? I didn't. So consulting was an ideal option in that sense. And then it plays, I think, really well into AI because it helps us make those really bespoke solutions because, as we said, AI is just so broad that there is no one size fits all technically. Like everything does require that kind of due diligence and that bespokeness because ethics and bias and all these things that are so important do play a very key part in everything we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And good answer, Akanksha, because that's why we made the show. So you can come again. One of the next things, this is like the hardest question ever to answer, but can you tell us a little bit about what an average day looks like for you? What do you get up to in the consultancy world?
Yes, I think I've been asked this a few times. What I might do is instead of specific day, I might just say what in general kind of consulting lifestyle for AI looks like, so for the way we run our teams, we kind of switch in and around. We're either on project, we're either on bench, and they're the usual two differences. So if you're on bench, you're helping out with internal projects. That can be doing prediction work on our own finances, helping build out models for our financing teams or our workforce planning teams, or if we're on a client, it's very much, okay, here we go and have your stand-up daily with your client, exactly what they need, whatever stage we're in with the project, from designing the solution all the way to properly deploying it. And obviously in between the two, there's always going to be pre-sales if you're in consulting, which sometimes can feel like that's all you're really doing, which is just talking to clients and helping them really figure out what the problem that they have is and actually figuring out if you can technically help them with AI, which is not always the answer, as people like to think.
Yes. Yeah, so true, right? Like, do you have that a lot? Do you have where people might come to you and say, we think we have an AI project, and maybe you're like, yeah, like maybe, or, do you get, have you seen progression? Because you mentioned the pre-sales part, and I've actually felt that before in a role that I did where it sometimes felt like it was always like the proof of concept. Have you seen a progression where we are moving more to production?
Yeah, I think the difference kind of falls into there's people, I don't want to say people, but like there's customers who'll come in and it's like, hey, we need some new tech, machine learning, that's a new thing, do it. Tell us exactly what this specific human will buy from us on this day and how much they'll spend here. I mean, that's such an unreasonable thing to do. But even if it was something that was doable, but to be able to do it, you need data. And to have data, you need actual data practices to maintain and build that great quality of data that you'll have over time. So what the difference, I think, falls into is you'll see customers who are actually making that proactive step of setting up their data practices and setting up their data platforms. So for those clients, like we've worked with those clients where we've fully built out a whole architected data platform for them. That's where things like AI will work super well, just because they've got a great flow already and ML ops has been built into it. And the people themselves have been brought along on the journey from the start and the get-go and understand the need for it. Whereas if you just deploy a model at the end of the day, great, okay, might do one couple of things, but people won't maintain the data quality. It just won't be a sustainable solution. So the customers who are taking that proactive approach from going from the ground up, which is often needed, it is working there.
That's such good advice, I think, for anyone out there who's thinking about even how they're going to do their own first AI project inside their own business. The data is the fuel, isn't it, in some senses? So important. That's really, really good point. I guess one of my kind of next pieces was, I know you've worked on probably so many exciting projects over your time in the consulting space. Is there anything that really highlights for you? Is there one that really stands out?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think kind of consulting, at least for me anyway, it was more around of being able to make a difference to someone, like whether it's a company, to people, whatever it is, right? I don't care. I don't need it to be in like the news or anything, but like, hey, I made a difference and helped. So a project I was on recently, and I was actually, we were allowed to publicize it, was with Ambulance Victoria. So across Australia and New Zealand, we built out a reporting tool and a whole dashboard system, which over COVID with the ICU strain and stuff, like really helped them actually track it and manage their workflows and how many patients were coming in, staff management and stuff like that. Like I think like the feedback you kind of get from the people actually working and using it, they're like, it was amazing to hear. They're like, oh my God, no, we're literally making a huge difference in hospitals and like lives are being made changed. I was like, oh my God, did I save a life? Like, have I done this? This is amazing. But no, I think, yeah, at the end of the day, it was just knowing that your like whatever you helped do and build has actually gotten to a bigger use and purpose that was needed. That was definitely a great highlight.
I love that. That's such a good one. And yeah, just, I mean, that's kind of the emphasis, I guess, out to the audience that says AI is literally everywhere, and like, you know, finding places where it can really help people is fantastic. Like let's use the technology for good. But Henk, come, you know what question needs asking next. This is just the best question ever.
Yeah, exactly. I always find it very interesting because I guess your work is not always fun. So what is your most annoying thing about your role in AI?
You're gonna hate me. It depends on the day. Like it really is like consulting everything. God, I absolutely hate that. But I think it really flows because kind of a day-to-day could be completely different. But honestly, at the moment, I'd probably say pre-sales, just because, and I swear there's probably people from work watching this and they're like, God damn it, no, Akanksha. But it's more, I think it's just you really want these projects to go through, right? Like this is all really, really amazing stuff that you're working with clients and like, oh my God, this is a really key problem. This is a potential solution. Here's a different one. What might be the best thing? And you go through all these different options, but they never actually, well, I mean, you do get to it, but it's a case of if I'm stuck on pre-sales for like a 3-month block, I kind of have to leave it there and hand it off to someone else, and I'm back onto like solutionizing something else again. It's kind of that you don't really, like at times you don't get to see it the whole way just because of different needs and requirements. So at the moment, it's a case of, I mean, a lot of PowerPoint calls and meetings at the moment in this couple of weeks. So that's a little bit disappointing at times when it's not just all AI and really cool stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so interesting though, right? Because a lot of that is that like envision or sharing like what's possible. I think that's a part of AI. Me and Henk, obviously, we make a lot of content. We do a lot of learning stuff. And that is always like a part of it. Sometimes when I talk to like other people on our team who cover different areas of tech, it's maybe not as important to do that like inspirational piece around like what's actually possible in this area. Like what are people doing out there and how can that relate to your business? Whereas I think with AI, it's still very much, because it's like moving so fast, it's still needed, isn't it, to do a lot of that work where it's like, actually, like you could do this like with whatever you've got, or this is something we've seen from customer X, etc. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah. I mean, even internally, like people definitely do reach out in that sense of like, hey, I've got this problem. Is this even a data AI problem? Like, can I just run this by you and tell me if this is something we can use AI in? And I mean, even tech professionals do need, sometimes they're like, is this something we can actually do? Like, is that a thing yet? So it's not just customers who've never necessarily done AI work. It is kind of everywhere, and it is up to us to kind of help spread that word.
Yeah, nice. So I guess we have a few minutes left, and so one of the fun things that we're doing with our main guests is something called a quick fire round. So Akanksha, if you're comfortable with this, we're going to ask you just 5 short questions, and what we want is your immediate answer. And the reason we want your sort of immediate answer that comes to mind is to show the variety across our guests of all the different things happening in this space. I promise they're really easy. Do you feel good with taking on our quick fire questions?
Yeah, no, let's do it. And honestly, if I don't come up with one straight away, it's because it's 8:15 p.m. So I'm blaming it on the evening. Like, it's been a long day. I'm going to
That's fine. That's fine. We will take that into account when we hear these answers back. So amazing. So I'll kick off. You'll get a question from me, and then Henk will come in and take over. So the first one I think is a nice, easy one. What was your first programming language?
Python. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, back in college, what a throwback.
Classic.
Did it for like 3 months. Didn't touch it again until I started working.
What programming language was used in the last project you worked on?
R. That was the only one I actually properly learned in college and never touched again until 2 months ago at work.
Wow, that's interesting, right? That is an
A little bit of a
interesting one.
switch
Maybe we'll
there,
dig into
but yeah.
that. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, very cool. Okay, cool. Next question. So, if we can keep it to sort of like no more than about a sentence or two, what was the last thing you learnt in AI? What was the next like sort of new thing?
I think it was something about the form recognizer, just the new cool things, new previews and stuff were announced about it. So it's kind of just messing around with different forms in there.
Fabulous. It does do a lot of different things. Like even I've barely scratched the surface of it. I tend to go for like the same part of it and not use some of the other parts. So that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Favorite event in the AI calendar?
I would be remiss to not mention all of the global AI community events that are coming up this year, because we're building out a whole new kind of schedule that will hopefully follow through for the whole year. But yeah, everything we do in global AI community, it's great.
Nice. Global AI community, a little shout out there. We love that. Sorry, just scanning down on my questions here. Okay, last question. You've done great. It hasn't mattered that it's 8:15 there at night. So what area of AI is on your list to skill up on next? So what's the next thing you're going to learn? Do you know?
Good question, actually. I haven't planned much around it, but I think the next thing I'm doing is some things around Azure Databricks. Just because we've got a few PT opportunities in there, and I think I very much have stayed away from data engineering just because it's kind of fallen that way. So it's kind of interesting to figure out how to actually like build out architecture there that way.
Nice. That is a good shout. That's a good one. I've not had enough chance actually to spend some more time in Databricks. So, well, keep in touch, build lots of content, share lots of stuff, and we can live vicariously through you.
As always.
Of course. And so we have about 1 minute left, unfortunately, on your segment. The time just goes so quickly on these things. So, Akanksha, is there something that you would give as good advice to someone who's getting into the AI space?
Don't worry too much about the tech, I think. Especially coming from a very non-technical background and getting into the field. There's enough people who are more than happy in the community to help out with the technical stuff, get across the theory, get across the actual biases that are involved with data management and capacity and whatever else. And just being like, data AI is so important because it's connecting businesses and humans to tech, right? Be that bridge, know how to talk to the both sides. I think that's more important of a skill than sometimes the actual tech bits, I think.
Oh, that's really, really good advice. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, it's all we've got time for. I'm sure we'll be able to bring you on again. We obviously have our little 5-minute segments around a project. So if you've got anything, obviously do share it with us. But yeah, really, really thank you for joining us. It's been a treat to chat with you.
Perfect. And yeah, if anyone has questions, I think my Twitter is on the page, so reach out. I'm more than happy to help. And yeah, I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. So, and then it is already time for our next guest. Let's get him on the screen.
Amazing. Hi, Alibek. How you doing?
Oh, hey, Hank, hey, Amy, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
We're doing well.
Good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay, so we only have 5 minutes. Everything matters on time, Alibek. So we are going to jump straight in with the great project that you shared with us. So first of all, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Alibek. So I'm a data scientist at Expertime since 2017. So I joined Expertime in 2017 as a software engineering intern, and the work implemented during my internship has provided the basis of a brand new project called What Do They Think? And since 2019, I've been nominated as a Microsoft MVP for AI. So my principal focus is on the project that related to natural language processing, and I've recently started also to do some computer vision projects. And after I'm a regular contributor. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. I was there are also regular contributors Stack Overflow and on GitHub and my personal blog where I just try to share my personal experience of performing data science on Azure.
Cool. Thank you so much for taking the time to join our show and tell us about your project. So, what is the AI project you are working on or did research of?
Yeah, exactly. So the project is a detection of the deceptive opinion spam. But first of all, I'd like to explain what the main goal of the project, because with the ever increasing popularity of web reviews, there has been an explosion of web content generated from individuals, and this content may contain a kind of opinion spam. So opinion spam is an improper or fraudulent reviews, which can range from a self-promotion of an unrelated web page or a blog, but to deliberate review fraud with the potential of a monetary gain and a monetary loss for a company, for victims. And sometimes opinion spam are really easily identified by human reader, like any kind of advert, any kind of mail spam, something like this. But how in this case, so we're talking about disruptive opinion spam, and the risk of this disruptive opinion spam is relatively low, because at least a human reader can easily ignore the review and just keep on surfing the web. However, there is also an instance of opinion spam which is called deceptive opinion spam, which is more dangerous, because the deceptive opinion spam, we're talking about the statements that have been intentionally produced to sound truthful, and mainly this kind of spam is going to take the form of fake reviews, either extremely positive or extremely negative, posted by a malicious user to inflate or damage a company's image. So I've started the project was by analyzing the fake reviews, especially fake reviews titles, just to have to get acquainted with the domain, and just to have a better understanding of the textual patterns. And right now I'm working on the deceptive opinion spam, and the goal is to define the patterns, the underlying principles of the lies in the text, and how the deception is expressed textually, and also to detect some techniques to automatically detect this kind of deceptive opinion spam by applying NLP, just by all the NLP style that I know. And all the work is done in Azure ML, just using anything we can do with this on Azure, using Azure Cognitive Services, Azure Machine Learning Services, even Azure Databricks for parallelizing huge amounts of data. And the general goal is to obtain a deeper understanding of how lies are expressed in text.
Right, that's so interesting, because natural language processing opinion and sentiment mining is often difficult, right, for things like even like sarcasm, when someone's being a little bit sarcastic in text. It sounds like a very similar kind of piece where you're trying to pick out the meaning above and beyond what the actual words say in some senses. So it's really, really, really interesting. And you have a great blog, right? Can you tell us what the URL is for your blog so people can go and read?
Yes, it's alibek.com. So it's my personal blog where I do share every little step I take just to perform these tasks. So, all the progress is shared on the blog and to users, but also there is also a GitHub which will be steadily fed by just as I would progress on the project. And which is also important why I consider that that anyone's opinion will be a welcome contribution, because there is no definite methodology of detecting the deceptive opinion spam. And when I share the information of the blog, it's exactly the information what I'm looking for. So having a feedback from the users, and maybe just a user with some interesting valuable skills to actually to give their feedback and to contribute in valuable ways to the project.
Fabulous. Well, I think, unfortunately, we are out of time on our 5 minutes with you. It's so short. We never get to really dive into what the project is. So it's super important for you to share all of that information. So if everyone goes to abitofai.show, you'll be able to see Alibek's blog and his GitHub as well. And obviously, if you want to join us in the A Bit of AI-cafe afterwards, definitely head to that URL, aka.ms/abitofai-cafe, and you can ask some more questions of this really interesting project. So thank you so much for joining us, Alibek.
Again, thank you very much for having me here. Thank you, Hank. Thank you, Amy. It was really a pleasure to meet you.
And you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cool. So that went by very, very fast. So we have 2 more things, and we have 2 minutes to share them with you before we are cut off from our Learn TV show stream. So we still have promoted events and a Learn module. I'm going to talk quickly about this week promoted event. So this week, the event I want to highlight is one upcoming live stream organized by Yves and Akan, both AI MVPs. The show is called AI42, and it focuses on the basics of machine learning. In every show, they focus on like a different aspect of machine learning, like the math behind it. And that were the past 4 episodes. And now they're moving to like languages and tools. So the next episode is 24th of March at around 8 o'clock CAT, and it is all about TSQL. So if you want to learn more, the links are on abitofai.show. Over to you, Amy.
Fabulous. Yeah, I love that idea of the AI42 show. It's really, really good. So Learn Modules. Learn Modules is always a key part to the end of every single episode. And one of the things that we try to do is when we meet with our guests before the show, we try to pick out interesting modules that we think suit the topics that have been talked about on the show. So this week in our challenge and our collection, if you go to aka.ms/abitofai-learn, you'll find our collection just there. It's got 3 modules in it. So for Akanksha's talk, I actually chose the Working with AI Visuals in Power BI. Akanksha talked about that amazing project that she worked on, and that actually business intelligence was so key to that. So infusing AI and Power BI together is a really, really exciting area. So I popped that one in there. And then for Alibek's piece, I actually picked out 2. So we've got use automated machine learning in Azure Machine Learning, as well as discover sentiment in text with the text analytics API. So go learn, go use these modules. It's aka.ms/abitofai-learn. But we will wrap up. We have 20 seconds. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're here every Thursday at the same time. Do come and join us in the Bit of AI Cafe at aka.ms/abitofai-cafe. And if you want to rewatch this episode, go to abitofai.show. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.